Welcome to A Slice of Therapy. This podcast was created with Anchor. And if you've not heard of Anchor, let me explain. It's free. It's a really easy way to make a podcast. And it helps me because I can just do this every day directly into my phone, because there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. So if you fancy making a podcast too, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So in today's episode, I want to help you identify the kind of change that you want to see in your own life. So you might be noticing that there's certain things you want different. And so I want to just talk you through a few ideas that will help you to really get a good handle on what it is that you'd like to change in terms of where you want to actually end up. So a good way to think about this is, let's imagine you go through a process. It might be therapy, it might be counselling, it might be something else entirely, like reading a self-help book or whatever it happens to be. It doesn't matter really, but whatever it is that the process that you go through to get the change, I want you to imagine that the final part of that process has just finished. And the moment it finishes, imagine that you then have a documentary crew follow you about for a bit. And what is it that the documentary crew see and film and record that lets everybody know that you're now in the place that you want to be? What is it that they see you doing that shows everybody who watches the documentary that actually you've got the change that you want? And in order to help you with this, there's a few questions that you can ask yourself. One is the one I've already asked you, is what will I do? The second one is, who will I be? Maybe even what will I be? The third one is, what will I be feeling? So the bodily sensations, the emotions. What would you have that might be different to now? Because sometimes that's how life changes, that you now have something that you didn't have before. And that might be an internal thing or an external thing. It might be that you have peace of mind. It might be that you have something out in the outside world. Doesn't matter what really. What is it that you might have once you've got the change that you want? And the other thing is, what is it that you will have overcome? And finally, what is it that you will achieve? So there's 6 good questions there. What will I do? What will I be? What will I have? What will I feel? What will I overcome? What will I achieve? And a good way of thinking about this is, let's say, for instance, that you wanted to run a 5K race. Now, the point in which the documentary filmmakers know that you've achieved that is that they'll actually see you running across the finish line, having done 5K. And so sometimes that can help as well to get really specific, is once you finish the process of change and you're out in the world with the documentary crew observing what your life looks like now, what are the milestones that let you know that you're there? What are the finish lines, for instance, that you run across? And what is it that other people will see, like the people who are closest to you, and maybe the people who you might not be that close to, but still see you pretty regularly? What are the things that they would notice about you that lets them know that you've got this different life, this difference in you that you wanted? What lets them know that that's taken place? And so it's often really useful not just to ask yourself what it is that we don't want, but to focus as specifically as we can on what we do. And so this little trick about the documentary crew following you around, and what would the documentary show if it showed you with the change that you have, can often clarify what it is that you want. How would you wake up differently? How would you have breakfast differently? What would your morning look like? What would your afternoon look like? What about your evenings, your weekends, your interactions with your pets, your interactions with your family or your friends or your colleagues? What are the things that the documentary crew would be picking up to really show the viewer when they watch this documentary that you got the change that you want? And so if you like this idea, please spread it around, because it really helps to share the podcast. If you'd like to sign up to the podcast, you can do that completely free wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Spotify or wherever else. You can work with me direct if you'd like to, one-to-one. I'm Alun Parry. You can find me at liverpoolpsychotherapy.co.uk. And if you're one of those who prefer YouTube videos instead of just audio, then all of these are on YouTube, and you can just type asliceoftherapy.com in order to get to the YouTube channel. So thanks for listening. I'll be back again tomorrow with another one.